Assalamu alaikum. Thanks to all my subs and supporters who watch, like, share, and comment on the videos. It's greatly appreciated. Anybody who would like to support the channel, the link to my book, The N-Word is No Secret in the Service, is in the description of every video. We also have the Runaway Slave store, link in the description. Go grab yourself a souvenir or something like that. Let's cook. When most people hear chattel slavery, they think about the southern states, Mississippi, Alabama, the Carolinas, and that's true. Slavery was very prevalent in the southern states, and chattel slavery was terrible in the South, brutal. But slavery was also in the North, them northern states, New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey. New Jersey, the Garden State, and that's what we're going to talk about today, people. From all my people from New Jersey, that's right, people, New Jersey, New Jerusalem, the Garden State, was a terrible slave state. In fact, New Jersey was so bad that slaves were still in the state of New Jersey. Slaves remained. There were enslaved people, black men and black women in New Jersey, even after Juneteenth. So imagine that. 6 months after Juneteenth, there were still slaves in the state of New Jersey. Okay? They say that technically, as per record, there were still 16 slaves in New Jersey, but that's on their records, okay? When it comes to, black slaves in America, these numbers were usually super underestimated, So there probably were way more. But even after Juneteenth, there were slaves in the state of New Jersey. A little history about slavery in New Jersey. The first slaves in New Jersey were bought by the Dutch. Okay, so the Dutch brought the first slaves to the state of New Jersey in the early 1600s. After that, the English took over in the year of 1664. Now, these enslaved individuals were trafficked from Africa, and they worked in the colony of New Netherland, as it was called. Now, where was New Netherland? New Netherland was considered New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Connecticut, and smaller parts of Pennsylvania and Rhode Island. This is where New Netherland was at, New Netherland, okay? Now, when the English took over in the year of 1664, they took over New Netherland. They continued to import slaves from Africa, and they also bought slaves from other colonies in the West Indies and also seasoned slaves from South Carolina. Now, in the year of 1804, New Jersey passed something called the Gradual Abolition of Slavery Act. Well, all these northern states passed this act. Okay, I guess some white supremacists got together and they said, hey, this doesn't look good. This isn't right. Or maybe we want to appear to look better than those white folks in the South. I don't know. But they said that they came out with this Gradual Abolition of Slavery Act to address the growing moral and humanitarian concerns about slavery. But while doing this, they also wanted to balance their economic interests as well. So that's why they call it gradual, because it's like, okay, we want to get rid of this, but we got to worry about this money, okay? We got to worry about this money. So with this Gradual Abolition of Slavery Act, New Jersey was actually the last northern state to begin this process, okay? They were the last ones to accept that. And this goal was, again, to gradually reduce the number of enslaved individuals without causing, immediate economic, crumble, pretty much. Because, of course, the slaves and chattel slavery was what made and maintained the economy in the state of New Jersey. So from the name, people may think, well, that means that slavery in New Jersey will end. This act right here, that's a good thing. Okay? Well, this is what this act meant. This act meant that any children born to enslaved mothers after July of 1804, actually July 4th, 1804, will be considered free. Okay? So any children born to an enslaved mother after July 4th of 1804 will be considered free. So people may look at that like, okay, well, these white supremacists, they're trying to do better. They're going to free all these people. Not so fast. We got to remember people, white supremacist wordplay. Now, According to the first part of this Gradual Abolition Act, the children are born to enslaved mothers are free. They will be considered free if they were born after July 4th, 1804. However, they were expected to keep working unpaid for their mother's enslaver until they reached the age of 25 for males and 21 for females. And the life expectancy of black people at that time who were enslaved was 40. So think about it. Think about it. They said, okay, any children born to enslaved mothers after July 4th, 1804 would be considered free. But those people, those children who were born, still have to keep working unpaid for their mother's enslaver until they reach the age of 25 for males and 21 for females. And a life expectancy at the time was 40. It was only 40 due to, hard living, inadequate nutrition, physical and emotional strain. Hard life, people. Hard life. You know what I mean? So by the time, if you did make it past that age of 21 and 25, by the time you got free, you were almost finished. So how was this Gradual Abolition Act even a perp? You know what I'm saying? This is white supremacist wordplay. They still use this white supremacist wordplay to this day. Nothing has changed, okay? Nothing has changed. They still do these things. They present things as if something is going to change or be better, but it's still brutal and horrible. But now what they do is they pay these gatekeeping, shine bone, buck dancing, and black Greek and Boule Negroes and celebrities to present these things to us, okay, as if it's something better, but it never is, okay? So after this act was passed, black people in New Jersey are still being abused. They're still slaves. Now, let's move forward. In the year of 1863, President Abraham Lincoln, he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, okay? But this Emancipation Proclamation did not free enslaved black people in the northern states. It only freed black people in the southern states, okay? It wasn't for black people in the northern states. So 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, 2 years, New Jersey said, no, we will not respect this 13th Amendment and this Constitution to abolish slavery and involuntary servitude. We're not going for it. We're going to go hard with this, okay? So they disregarded this right here, the northern states, okay? We're talking about New Jersey here. We're talking about New Jersey. Remember, before this gradual emancipation situation that they had before, they were trying to say that that's the end of slavery in New Jersey or in the North, but it wasn't. I told you what the fine print to that was. So they considered that slavery ending, but it still wasn't. So in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln, he signs this. New Jersey still was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? They're going hard. Slavery in the state of New Jersey didn't end until January 23rd of the year 1866, when a governor by the name of Marcus L. Ward, he's from Newark, New Jersey, that area, what we know as Newark now, he signed a state constitutional amendment that ended slavery in the state of New Jersey. His name is Governor Marcus L. Ward, okay? In other words, the institution of slavery in New Jersey is now over, but they disregarded that Emancipation Proclamation, and it went on. It went on much longer after, even after Juneteenth, okay? The people in Texas had their so-called freedom before people in New Jersey. They were still slaves. And I must add, no credit or no big up to this New Jersey governor by the name of Marcus Ward. You know, he only made sure to do this because the work was already done. They already profited and benefited from chattel slavery, from Satanism, from oppression of black people, okay? And it looked pretty bad that New Jersey still had slaves, even after the state of Texas. So I don't applaud this white supremacist governor here, Marcus Ward, as a hero who came in and corrected something or tried to change some evil things that his people had did before, things that he had already benefited from. No credit to him. And this is very common to this day, You know, a lot of us go on saying that, well, such and such, this white person did this, or they presented this, you know, and this white person did this, as if they're like some better person after they already benefited from all the evil. You know, the work is already done. They put it on autopilot. They knew what was going on. So no, this guy, Marcus Ward, he's not some special white man. Okay, he's a white supremacist and a racist as well. Usually they change these things when something happens. They have to change face. They want to appear a certain way. Then they go ahead and come up with the, oh, we're going to sign this and we're going to do this, you know. And a lot of times my people, black people, we label these white supremacists as some kind of hero or as if there's somebody that did something good. Not at all. I never will. They're not. Abraham Lincoln wasn't even a hero to me. Actually, I don't think there was one hero that's white in American history, in my opinion. Anyway, people, check this out. The state of New Jersey, horrible for chattel slavery, horrible for slavery. A lot of people think about the South. While slavery in the South was more brutal, yes, it was. It was more brutal, more field work, but there was also a lot of slavery in the North, okay? And here we have New Jersey, the Garden State, a state where there were still slaves in the state of New Jersey even after Juneteenth. Anyway, people, easy.